One of the big confusions for many of our potential students is what is the difference between artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and data science? As these terms are maturing today, some of the definitions of these terms are not still concrete, and there's a lot of media hype where people use these terms interchangeably. So we wanted to clarify and throw some light at what is the difference between some of these terms. Of course, the explanation that I'm giving is not necessarily the only correct explanation, as some of these areas are very, very fast evolving. But let me take a shot at explaining what these terms mean. Okay, first let's go and understand what is artificial intelligence. So I'll try to draw a simple Venn diagram like stuff. And if this is AI basically is, in a nutshell, is to enable computers to think. There have been various stages of AI since almost early 1950s, and of course it has its own ups and downs. So the AI that some of you might have learned in your undergraduate course, where you learn simple rule-based systems, that's all old school. That's almost not being used very extensively nowadays, except in limited cases. So AI is this broad area which enables computers to think. And we named our course Applied AI course. We named our course Applied AI course because we cover topics from across the spectrum. We cover topics from AI, machine learning, deep learning, and data science. So AI is a very, very broad area. And let me show you what machine learning would be. So machine learning is a sub area in this. And machine learning typically is a bunch of statistical tools. It's basically statistical tools to learn from data. And of course, remember, machine learning here is a subset of AI. It's a part of AI. And the third most important topic is deep learning. I'm just using the same color coding here so that it's easier. So deep learning is a much more recent area which has taken shape since 2006. And this is all about using something called a multi-layer neural network. They're called multi-layer neural networks. Right now, a huge impact of AI, what people refer to as Google's AI systems, they're mostly referring to Google's deep learning systems, right? So some of the most important advances in AI in the last 10 years have been happening in this small sub area called deep learning, not DP, sorry, deep learning here. And what about data science? That's an obvious question we keep getting asked. So data science is a completely different area which intersects. So if I call this as data science has some overlap with AI techniques, with machine learning techniques, not so much with deep learning techniques, but data science also has other areas. So in a nutshell, data science is all about understanding or making sense of data. Okay, so visualizing data is a very important aspect of data science. And for all of these areas, for all of these 4 areas, there are fundamental mathematical tools. There are tools in probability, there are tools in statistics, there are tools in linear algebra and matrix algebra, there are tools in numerical optimization, etc. So these are all fundamental mathematical areas. Of course, there is computer programming, because without programming we can't train your algorithms. You can't train your computers to think, right? So all these areas come together to make your data science, AI, machine learning, and deep learning. By the way, just to remind you, this is not the only definition of what AI, machine learning, deep learning, and data science are. There are various definitions out there on the internet. This is something that I believe, or from my personal opinion, seems to be the most appropriate representation of them. So the next immediate question we keep getting asked is, what do you teach in this course? So let me just try to highlight some of this. So we teach some of the most important deep learning techniques. Remember, all these areas are massive. People spend years to learn all of these areas. Frankly speaking, over the last decade, I don't think I've learned a considerable chunk of all these areas. And some of these areas that, like deep learning, are fast evolving. So we cover those areas of deep learning which are most fundamental and most important and most widely used. Similarly, in machine learning, we cover a wide spectrum of techniques. Of course, we might leave out a bunch of techniques which are not extensively used. So we cover most of the techniques in machine learning which are extensively used. Even in data science, we cover a lot of topics in data science, like data visualization, simply analyzing data itself, right? So even if we do not cover any area in its entirety, I believe no single course or not even a PhD degree can help you cover all of the topics here. It's almost impossible. Oh, by the way, we cover some data science specific concepts like data visualization, dimensionality reduction, etc. And what I call data science, other people might call it machine learning, or some others could call it AI. So there is, so what we're doing in our course is we are covering some of the most used, some of the most important, and some of the most fundamental techniques, along with all the mathematical tools here. Along with all of these mathematical tools is what we cover in this course. Of course, to be very frank with you, we cannot cover all of the areas. In deep learning, we're only doing mostly introductory section, taking some of the most important techniques in deep learning. We cover more of machine learning. Of course, we also cover some parts of AI as you see here. But we also cover some of the areas of data science like data visualization, also making sense of data using simple tools from probability and statistics. I hope this type of Venn diagram gives you a better perspective on what we are covering and what we are not covering. It's important for you to learn what we are not covering. So we are only covering the most useful and the most used techniques across the spectrum of data science, machine learning, and deep learning. And we are skipping out those topics which are not extensively studied, or in some cases not extensively used. And it's impossible to cover all of these areas even in a 5-year PhD program. So we are trying our best to cover as many topics as possible, especially the most important and the most widely used topics across all these areas in a 140-hour session. I hope this gives you a better picture of what we are covering. Also, what is the difference between AI, machine learning, deep learning, and data science?